All right, so today's movie review is 30 Seconds Over Tokyo. This is from Mervy LeRoy. He's the director of the film and stars Van Johnson and Spencer Tracy. And so some behind the scenes details about 30 Seconds Over Tokyo. When Lawson, played by Van Johnson, his airplane arrives in Tokyo and sees the fire and smoke from a bomber, we're not looking at a special effect. They actually filmed and found some of that footage and used it in the movie. Some of it was from a fire in Oakland. Some of it was actual flying and actual battles during the war. So I think that's pretty cool that they were willing to do that. And another interesting detail about that is they had actual footage of the bombers. So pictured here, that's a real B-25 bomber flying off from an aircraft carrier. So I thought that was a pretty cool detail. But now let's get into my thoughts on the plot. So the plot, I gave it a 4 out of 5. I actually liked it, especially the first half of the movie. But once we get to where they're with the Chinese villagers, after, fighting and bombing and stuff, I feel like the film takes kind of a nosedive, no pun intended, during the time that they're recovering from, the bombings and stuff and being captured. But then, when we get to the actual end, it's very rushed, and I don't like that very much. I wanted to have time to develop and get to know the characters a little bit more. And I also don't like that the only bomber we actually see is Van Johnson's. Lawson, that's his character's name. We just see the inside of that when the bombing happens. We just see that one thing. I wanted to see more. It kind of sounds a little morbid, but I wanted to see more of the other characters that we got to know and kind of their reaction to bombing the different cities and different targets in Tokyo. So I kind of wish we saw more of that. And that's why I gave the plot a 4 out of 5. All right, next, we're talking about the acting. So the acting, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. I really liked it. Van Johnson, he's in the middle of the two there. I thought he was really good. And then Spencer Tracy on the right was also really good, but he's barely in it. It's really a glorified cameo, even though he's all over the advertisement for it. And I also like the actors who were in Van Johnson's crew, like the guy on the left there. I don't remember his name, but if you've seen the film, what's it called? Strangers on a Train from Alfred Hitchcock. He plays the crazy guy who wants to start killing people. So I highly recommend checking out that film on top of this one. But yeah, I think that's pretty interesting, right? But anyway, a very, very different character in this film, though. So at any rate, I really loved Van Johnson. I love his relationship that he has with his wife. I think that's really cool and really nice to see. It's a very beautiful romance and, something he's looking forward to get home with, right? So I really loved that. And Spencer Tracy, he's always a great leader and great motivational speaker in these movies. I really liked him. But again, I wanted more of him. So that's why I gave it a 4.5. It wasn't perfect, but it was pretty close. I really liked the cast. It was a greatly cast film. All right, next we'll be talking about directing. Directing, I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. And I really loved it. I thought it was great. Mervy LeRoy, he's pictured on the left there. I thought he did really good with the directing. And I love the balance of the romantic scenes with the action scenes. I think he does really well at kind of balancing and showing the different two types. Thought that was really cool. But like I mentioned, I wish we had more Spencer Tracy, as a leader, telling him what to do. He plays Doolittle. He plays Doolittle. I wanted more of him. So I don't know why they chose to not show him, because this is, Doolittle's raid, right? That was a huge deal. Wish we saw more of that. Instead, we get him sitting around the hospital and making jokes and whatnot in like 1 or 2 scenes. But he's only in like 4, so it feels like a lot. But that's what I thought about the directing. All right, next is the cinematography and special effects. I gave that a 5 out of 5. I thought it was incredible, especially when we're inside of the plane. Like this shot here feels very claustrophobic, right? We're kind of a lot of close-ups and whatnot. And it feels very much like it would have been in these real bombers. So I love that. I also love the bombing scene, even though we only get to see one of the planes, dropping bombs. I kind of wish we had a little bit more of that. And just any of the scenes in general where we're in an airplane, I really liked. I thought they were the best. And yeah, that's kind of my thoughts overall in the cinematography. And I love, too, that they blended in real footage and real things and whatnot to make it a lot more realistic. I thought that was a really, really nice touch. All right, next we'll be talking about the music. So the music, I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. I thought it was just all right. It's pretty forgettable. It's not super memorable. I didn't hate it per se, but if I heard it on a CD or whatnot, I wouldn't be able to tell you it was from this movie. It sounds very generic. World War II drama, not thriller, but definitely drama. I wouldn't be able to distinguish it. I don't think most people would either. It's not like Metropolis or other movies that have very memorable scores. This movie's not like that at all. All right, so tallying that all up, that brings my Letterboxd score to a 4.3 out of 5, which I'm rounding to a 4 out of 5. And that brings my Critical List score to 86%. So would I recommend this movie? Yes. I think it's a very good, underrated World War II movie. It's streaming right now on Tubi, but it won't be forever. And you could buy it on iTunes and whatnot, sure. But they use negatives, or not negatives, but scans that were on the DVD and VHS. It is not the highest quality. What I saw was pretty much a DVD quality version of the film. If you want to buy it on physical media, it's only on DVD. And that DVD came out, I think, in 2006 or 2007, almost 20 years ago. So to me, this film, I think, is one that could be restored. I believe this was a MGM film. So I think it's in the Warner Archive wheelhouse. Unless I'm mistaken and they have restored it. But as far as I could tell on like Blu-ray.com and whatnot, it's not on Blu-ray. It's only on DVD. I hope it gets a restoration. I think it will look really cool, especially with the really cool special effects, the really cool airplane fights and whatnot. I think this is a movie that deserves to be seen in a higher quality than what we get at the moment. Anything else I want to add to that? I really wanted more Spencer Tracy, and I would have loved more footage of the bombings. Again, that just sounds a little disturbing because, it's a war movie, right? But we really only see Van Johnson's crew, it's pictured here, doing that. I wanted to see more of it and see more of the different characters that we get to know, by the way. And they kind of disappear, some of these characters. I wanted to see more of them, too. And I think they needed their moments to shine as well. They were heroes, right? So I think this movie maybe only had the budget for one plane. Maybe that's why. I don't know. It's a very strange choice to me, and I really wish we got to see more of these characters flying on the plane and whatnot. I was a little disappointed we didn't get to see some of that. All right, well, those are my thoughts on 30 Seconds Over Tokyo from 1944, and thank you so much for listening to today's movie review.